reductio ad absurdum argument on the contradiction between pro-life ethics and organ transplant exclusion. See, we often hear that every human life is sacred, that no matter your age, ability, or circumstance, you deserve protection and care. This is the heartbeat of the pro-life stance, a moral commitment to the equal value of all lives. But what happens when that principle collides with the brutal arithmetic of medical triage? In the world of organ transplants, thousands of patients are denied access not because they're incompatible, but because they're poor, sick, or deemed too risky. These aren't medical failures, they're ethical choices. And if we follow the pro-life logic to its conclusion, we find ourselves in a system that must either abandon its moral absolutism or embrace outcomes so absurd they threaten the very viability of care. Tonight, I invite you to walk with me through a contradiction. A fault line where moral purity meets practical exclusion. Let's test the pro-life stance, not with slogans, but with reality. Theme: reductio ad absurdum, the pro-life stance versus organ transplant exclusion. Set out our methodology. We accept that all human lives are morally equal. No life should be deprioritized due to behavior, prognosis, or socioeconomic status. Medical systems should reflect this moral equality in life-saving decisions. Umbala, apply this to organ transplant systems. Transplant systems use medical criteria, compatibility, urgency, logistics, ethically necessary. Exclusion filters, behavioral history, financial status, predicted survival, social support, ethically discretionary. If the pro-life premise holds, then these exclusion filters must be rejected. Every medically compatible patient must be listed and matched regardless of cost, compliance, or prognosis. Okay, step 3. Observe the real-world consequences. If we eliminate exclusion filters, patients with active addiction, no housing, or terminal comorbidities must be listed. Organs must be allocated even when survival odds are near zero. Transplant centers must ignore cost, adherence, and post-op viability. Okay, step 4. Absurd outcome. This leads to collapse of transplant viability. Organs go to patients unlikely to survive, wasting scarce resources. Ethical paralysis. Centers can't prioritize based on outcome, leading to preventable deaths. Systemic overload. Waitlists balloon with patients who cannot benefit, reducing access for those who can. Thus, applying the pro-life stance consistently to transplant ethics leads to absurd and harmful consequences, undermining both medical ethics and practical care delivery. Therefore, either the pro-life stance must accept exclusion filters, admitting that life protection is conditional, or it must demand a radical overhaul of transplant systems that few pro-life advocates actually support. In either case, the stance collapses under its own absolutism when confronted with real-world medical triage. Awesome.